So we're here with Alison Booth Gribas, manager of Equal Exchange Espresso, which, for those of you listening, if you read last month's issue, I did an article on my experience here, and now we're visiting with Alison, and we're just interested to hear about Alison and Equal Exchange and coffee and all those good things. So first off, I thought we might just start with how long you've been here and how long you've been involved with Equal Exchange and the cafe and that sort of thing.
Great. Thanks, Joseph. Thanks for coming to join me on this lovely Wednesday afternoon in Ballard. I have been with Equal Exchange for 11 years. I started out my career doing interfaith organizing, working with the American Friends Service Committee in New Hampshire, and doing education with students and other groups about the global economy. We were protesting free trade agreements. Back then it was the free trade area of the Americas, and promoting alternatives like fair trade. So I had experience working on trade issues. And when that internship was over, I got a job with Equal Exchange in our interfaith department, pretty much selling coffee to churches.
Awesome.
Coffee is the centerpiece of church social life, and a lot of faith groups were looking for a way to do education in their communities about the global economy and to promote alternatives. And so we filled that niche. So I worked in that department for a few years, and then Equal Exchange decided to open an espresso bar in Ballard. Our main office is outside of Boston, so a lot of people ask, why did you move all the way across the country? Why didn't you guys set it up in Boston? And the answer is simply because Ballard Market asked us to.
Oh.
Town and Country Markets and Ballard Market have been big supporters of ours for going on 15 years now. And we knew their customers liked our coffee because it sells very well in their bulk sections. And they decided to give us a chance at doing retail. We'd never done retail before, so it was a pilot project and a really great opportunity to learn what there was to learn about operating a retail coffee business in, couldn't have been a more supportive setting. And it was a good opportunity for me to try something different, move across the country, 3,000 miles, and try running a business, again, with a great support network, with all the resources of at that time, $20 million, 20-year-old company.
So you opened the espresso stand here then?
I did, yep,
bar.
7 years ago in June.
And so the Seattle location, because there is an Equal Exchange cafe in Boston as well.
There is.
But the Seattle location was the first one, the first.
We were the first one. The Boston location is, I think, going on 4 years now.
Okay.
I think maybe we'll be 4 years in December. So we were first. They're 4 times our size. They probably do 4 times our sales. So they have a very different business model than we do.
And you brought up fair trade when you're talking about that, and I don't want to get too much into fair trade because I think we could do an entire series of interviews on that sort of thing. But I'm interested to hear, after reading on Equal Exchange's website about, well, obviously Equal Exchange's view on fair trade and what they claim, but if you could explain how Equal Exchange approaches fair trade versus what fair trade typically is. I have an understanding, but...
Sure thing. And I'll just start, for those who don't know, by explaining that Equal Exchange is a 27-year-old worker-owned fair trade organization. So we import coffee, tea, and chocolate from small-scale farmers around the world. And we primarily do the roasting, importing, and wholesale. Retail, we only have 2 retail outlets in the country. It's less than 5% of our sales. And so, that's really the key. What I just described is the key part of our model of fair trade. It is that we are buying from democratically organized cooperatives of small-scale farmers. We're paying them a guaranteed minimum price. We're building long-term trade relationships, and we're supporting sustainable agriculture. So to us, those are the 4 pillars of fair trade. There have been some changes in the fair trade movement recently where some certifiers are certifying coffee from plantations with better labor conditions as fair trade. We believe that the heart of fair trade is farmer cooperatives. They're the ones who are really bringing grassroots economic change and economic development to developing countries, to coffee-producing communities. And while better conditions for farm workers are needed, we don't think that that's the mission of the fair trade movement. And so the goal of our espresso bar is to sell our mission by putting a delicious cup of coffee in people's hands, to be able to have that conversation if people want to have that conversation, but really just to provide a great service to Ballard Market, great coffee for our neighborhood here in East Ballard, also kind of to be a test kitchen and learn more about what our wholesale customers need, and see how our coffees and our other products play out in our customers' hands and in their mouths. And
so the cafe becomes a gosh, the words left me. It gives you a platform to reach out to the individual, right, about the mission of Equal Exchange, which is pretty cool.
Exactly. Otherwise, we're usually talking to store buyers. And sometimes those store buyers are in the aisle when shoppers have a question about a product. But we have a unique opportunity to prepare the coffee the way we think it should be prepared. Really to highlight our espresso, to highlight our chocolates, to highlight our teas, show people different ways of serving them, different ways of enjoying them.
And as far as the coffee farms go, how I'm curious as to how in depth Equal Exchange ends up working with the individual farms. Like, are you connecting more on there's farmer-owned cooperative and you're a fair trade cooperative and you're working together, or does Equal Exchange go individually to the farms and see how the work is done? Do you at all get onto that level of helping farmers be better farmers of their coffee?
Absolutely. We're not agronomists, we're not experts on the agriculture part, but we do have a really talented quality control department and purchasing team, and they are experts on the coffee, and they can taste it and they can see if it was processed incorrectly, if maybe there was a deficiency in the soil, if it was just stored improperly, and they can diagnose the flavor defects and taints that are going to affect the price that we can sell to customers. It's going to affect what we can import from the farmers. So they can identify those things. And where we put the most of our energy is into building the common language and building the skills, building cupping skills, so that if we reject a coffee sample from a farmer co-op because it doesn't meet our quality standards, or maybe it's perfectly fine quality, but it doesn't meet the flavor profile that we are looking for, then we can explain that to the co-op, and then they can work on their end at making the improvements that they need to get the desired result. So we're probably not going to tell them what amendments they need to put in the soil, but we'll identify this is what's missing in the coffee, this is what's wrong in the coffee, so they can work with their local experts.
Gotcha.
We do visit every co-op that we trade with once a year. A lot of coffee companies will tell you that that their buyer spends 300 days a year at source, which is great for that buyer. Our buying team is probably out of the country about 30% of the time, but what we do that's different and I think really cool is all of our employees get to visit a coffee farm within the first couple of years that they've become a worker owner, and we also bring delegations of customers. So we're bringing the guys who pack orders in the warehouse, the bookkeepers, the front office administrator. One of our baristas is going to go to Peru in July. And then we're bringing our customers to the farm as well, doing homestays, visiting the farm, seeing processing firsthand. And usually one of our buying team members will go with them. And so then our quality control experts can explain to our employees who are not in that department or our customers what they're seeing, what's going on, and as well they might do some of that quality training as well. We also bring coffee cuppers from the farmer co-ops to our main office once a year for a cupping camp. It's become an annual event, and they spend a week developing that vocabulary and tasting coffee and building those skills together.